Welcome to Whispers Beyond the Veil. I'm Brooke Ashley. Tonight's story is called The Calling Light. Remember, the veil is thinner than you think. They told us not to go when it was blowing in from the west, when the sea turned the color of a bruise and the rocks gleamed like teeth. But the old lighthouse had been calling for weeks. Odd reports, strange flickers seen from the town, voices on the wind. So Martin and I drove out anyways. Whispers struggling, headlights caught in the rain like beads of glass. The lighthouse sat on a black cliff that dropped straight into the water. The path up was nothing more than stairs chipped into stone. A railing that shook, and a warning sign that said, "Keep back," as if anyone ever obeyed signs at the edge of the world. 15 minutes, I told Martin. Quick sweep. If it feels wrong, we go. He nodded. We both knew wrong had many flavors, and the sea had invited most of them. The lighthouse door was heavy iron. The paint bubbled with old salt. When I reached for the handle, it opened towards us. Slow, polite, as if we were expected. Inside, the air had a weight, like the space remembered storms even when the sky was calm. The staircase curled up the round wall, narrow, steep, each step wet with mist. We clicked on our small flashlights. Beams cut across the stone like chalk lines. "Hello?" I called. "We're here to check the light." My voice came back to me, but it sounded farther away. Someone else answering me a half a second late. A side door opened into the old keeper's quarters. One room, low ceiling, a desk pushed under a window. On the desk lay a logbook with a cracked spine. A cup sat beside it, chipped and stained with brown tea that had dried into a map. The log read like a prayer that had turned into an argument. August 31st. Fog rolled in at noon, light burned steady. September 12th. Saw ships were there where there were none. Blue lamps swaying beyond the reef. September 18th. They are closer. They ask for names. After that, the handwriting broke. October 2nd. If the bell sounds twice without a hand on the rope, do not answer the sea. Do not look directly at the water when it calls you. I didn't say that part out loud. Martin ran a finger along the windowsill and held it up. Fine white grit. "Salt," he said, "on the inside." We both heard it then. Singing. Not music, voices. Thin, carried on the air like threads. Not words at first, just a shape your mouth wanted to make even if you didn't know the language. Martin said softly, "It's outside." I shook my head. "No, it's everywhere." The song slid under the door and up the stairs. It sounded like being remembered by someone you never met. A bell sounded once. Not in the tower, but outside on the cliff near the edge. I closed the logbook and said, "Let's finish upstairs." Because sometimes the only thing to do is go higher. The stairs were slick and curved tighter as we climbed. Halfway up, the stone wall brightened with a dull glow coming from above, like a lantern being shaken awake. We reached the heavy hatch to the lamp room. The big glass lens, the kind that breaks a small light into something ships can see for miles, sat like a sleeping eye. The bulb itself was dark, but the glass held a shimmer as if it had caught moonlight from somewhere and didn't want to let it go. Out beyond the windows, the storm thrashed. Black waves hunched and broke white against the rocks. And beyond those rocks in the distance, I saw two lights where no boat should have been. Blue, steady, and low to the water. They swayed together, then apart, like dancers deciding whether to leave the floor. Ghost lights, I said before I could stop myself. The bell sounded once again. Longer this time. The lens brightened all on its own. Lines of pale light crawled across the glass like veins, gathered, and pulsed outward. But it didn't sweep the sea. It turned towards us. A shape stood on the far side of the lens. A man in an old coat, shoulders rounded, cap in hand. His beard looked damp. His eyes were tired in a way only people who listen too hard ever get. He didn't speak with his mouth. The air around him did it for him, forming words the way breath fogs glass. "Don't answer," he said so gently I almost missed the warning inside of it. "No matter whose voice you think you hear." "Are you the keeper?" I asked. He gave the smallest nod. Then he looked past me, through me, down the stairwell as if he could see the whole spine of the lighthouse at once. The bones and the throat and the heart. "They bring the dead close," he said. "They wear them like coats." "Who?" "The ones who sing under the black water." And then it happened the way it always does. The voices learned my name. They didn't say it wrong. It didn't echo. They put it together with my breath. "Brooke." Once like a question. Once like an invitation. Once like the answer I already had in my mouth. I took a step towards the glass before I realized I'd moved. The keeper raised his hand, palm out. "No closer." Lightning broke open on the horizon. For a second too long, everything froze white. Cliff, spray, rain hanging like strings. Out on the water, two blue lights drifted apart, and I saw the shape between them. Long, low. Not a boat, not a whale. Something old enough to be the reason stories exist. The song swelled. It took on words without consonants. Soft, rounded syllables that fit in the mouth like sugar. Come down, the water is warm. Come see who waits, come be remembered by the sea. Martin whispered, "It sounds like your mother," I finished before he could say it, because that's what it does. The lens brightened enough to throw pale bars across our faces. In the glow, I could see prints on the glass where hands had been and lips. I could smell salt and something sweet, like flowers left too long in a vase. The keeper's expression never changed. "They'll ask for a name." "Whose?" "Yours, or someone you love." And if we give it? He looked down the stair. You'll walk until there's no more cliff left to walk. I took my hand off the railing. I hadn't realized I was clenching it. The bell sounded. 2 strokes this time. I remembered the log. If the bell sounds twice without a hand on the rope, do not answer the sea. Martin grabbed my sleeve. We should go, he said. Yes, I said, but not down. He frowned. Up, I said, into the lamp room. Sometimes the safest place is the one that sees the farthest. We climbed the small ladder into the glass room where the lens sat like a giant jewel. The door closed behind us with a whisper, like a secret being stored. Up there, the storm didn't feel like weather. It felt like will. The wind dragged its hand along the grass. The rain hit and slid and hit again. We moved between the panes, careful not to touch. Can you get it to light? Martin asked, tapping the dark bulb at the center. Before I could answer, the keeper's reflection shuddered in the glass. He wasn't outside, he was in the lens. Caught in the hard angles, faces of him like shards. He put his hand over the bulb without touching it. The song sharpened. Something knocked on the outside of the glass. 3 times. Polite, like a guest who already has a key. The keeper winced. Don't knock back. We didn't. The bulb flared, then died. The lens filled with a paler glow that had nothing to do with electricity. Like the room had remembered 100 storms and was replaying their light. It swept the sea. When the beam reached those 2 blue lights, the singing trembled. Shapes pulled back as if startled. Then the beam turned inside, just for a breath, washed across our faces, and I felt a drag behind my eyes, like something was peeling away a thought I didn't need. My name fell out of my mouth without sound. I felt it leave. I grabbed the center post and held on. Say no, the keeper told us quietly. Say it like you love someone you will never meet. So I did. I said, no, the way you close a door against a storm. I said, no to the sea that wants to be everything. I said no to the part of me that wanted, stupidly, to see what waits at the bottom. The beam swept again, and the song fell back into the wind. The keeper's words came like footprints in sand, clear, then fading. I stayed past my last day, he said. Storm night, light failed. I ran the upstairs until the steps forgot my feet. Voices promised me calm if I came down. I answered, I should not have. Did you drown? I asked before I could stop the cruel shape of the question. His mouth didn't move. The glass made the answer for him. I am still keeping the light. He looked at Martin and then at me. You will go when the bell makes the 3rd sound. If you delay, the path down will turn sideways and the sea will be the only straight road left. 2 blue lights out there drifted apart again. Something long moved between them. The surface rolled like a shoulder shrugging off of a coat made for men. The bell took its time. It let us hear the storm in every direction. The slap of wave, the rattling down the stairs, the soft hiss of water working into the stone. Then, at last, the keeper nodded toward the hatch. Now. And we went. Down is worse than up. The stairs seemed steeper. The curve felt inside out. Halfway, the singing returned. Close, right behind my left ear. 3 notes so tender I almost cried. Brooke. I pressed my palm to the wall and kept going. Martin's boot slipped. He caught himself, swore, laughed because the other choice was screaming. At the bottom, the door didn't want to open. It thudded against pressure, the storm pressing its chest into the building and asking to be let in. On 3, Martin said. We push. The door gave, and the night hit us like a thrown bucket. The world was all spray and wind, and the thin beam of our lights bouncing off rain. The stair cut down the cliff in narrow turns, but the steps didn't line up like they had on the way in. They leaned a little, then a little more, until it felt like we were walking along the cliff face instead of down it. Song rose from below, from the black water, the kind of sweet that hurts. Not voices now, just one voice. It said my name, and then it said, hurry. Hurry to what? Hurry to whom? Don't look, I told myself. But of course, I looked. Down there, not far out, something like a woman moved on the surface. Hair shining, arms open. Her face. It changed when I tried to fix on it. She was someone I knew. Someone I'd been missing. She smiled the way a door opens. Brooke, she called. You're cold. I can warm you. For an instant, the cliff seemed foolish and the path ridiculous and the rain an inconvenience and all the people I'd ever loved simple and tired. There was only the water, which does not judge, and the song, which does not end. I took one step towards the ridge. A hand closed on my sleeve and yanked hard enough to bruise. Martin, his face was rain and fear. Stay with me, he said. Stay in the ugly world. I laughed. One dry sound swallowed by the wind, and we moved again. The sea doesn't forgive and it doesn't punish. It continues. But the lighthouse, it keeps score. Behind us, the bell rang one more time. Not the 3 from the storm, but a single, tired note, like a farewell pushed through a cracked throat. The stairs straightened. The path filled itself in under our boots. The slope came back into sense. We reached the last turn and saw the truck like a low miracle, beaded with water, sullen and real. I looked up. The lens flashed. Once. Pale, as if the keeper had lifted a lantern in thanks. For a breath, the storm let us see beyond the rocks. 2 blue lights drifted apart and went out as cleanly as a thought leaving a room. The door of the lighthouse closed. Not slammed, closed, like someone who's been up all night finally going to bed. We sat in the trunk and didn't start it. The cab smelled like wet wool and tired people. Martin leaned his head back and laughed once softly. Ugly world, I said. Best kind, he said. The storm cleared by morning. We drove into town to report a light behaving when it shouldn't. The person at the desk said the lighthouse had been decommissioned for years, the bulb removed. Must have been the moon, she said without looking up. On my coat sleeve, where Martin had grabbed me, a handprint bloomed. Not his size, larger. 5 long fingers, pale marks in a shape salt sometimes leaves when it dries. When I touched it, I smelled cold water and flowers gone bad. I washed the sleeve. The mark didn't leave. That night, I dreamt of stairs that went in circles and a keeper who never stopped climbing them. I dreamed of a song that knows your name better than you do. And I dreamed of the sea's face, how it keeps changing until it becomes you. When I woke, the room was quiet. For a moment, I didn't know if the quiet meant safety or invitation. Then I heard it, far, just far enough. A bell, a single note, more memory than sound. If you go to the cliff on a west wind and the water calls you by name, answer nothing. Keep your eyes on the ugly world. And if the light turns inside the glass and finds you, say no the way you shut a door you love. Remember, the veil is thinner than you think.